Greetings, children of the screen. Your friendly neighborhood nerd scum here once again, and I am joined by
Free
Logan
for another edition of What You Mean You Ain't Seen, guys. You have dishonored me and the Nerd Scum channel. What you mean you ain't seen? Enter the Dragon. Enter the Dragon, originally released in 1973, rated R, coming in at 102 minutes. It is directed by Robert Clouse and written by Michael Allen, with a cast that includes Bruce Lee, John Saxton, Jim Kelly, Anna Capri, Ken Shi, Robert Wall, Angela Mao, Betty Chang, Jeffrey Weeks, and Bolo Young. And by the way, guys, I apologize for the horrendous pronunciation on some of those names.
Roper, Williams, and Lee, the Deadly Three, penetrate the secret chambers of an evil island empire, a fortress without walls, protected by an invincible army that needs no ordinary weapons. This is Enter the Dragon, the first martial arts film produced by a major Hollywood studio.
That's right, guys. We watched Enter the Dragon. Now, Enter the Dragon, if you're one of the people who hasn't seen it, like these guys, then Enter the Dragon is about Bruce Lee and him kicking ass. That's what this movie is. If you've ever seen Mortal Kombat, then you've seen a shitty version of Enter the Dragon where people have powers. Now, you might say, hey, Mortal Kombat was fucking awesome. Well, that should let you know how awesome Enter the Dragon is. So, guys, I know that tells them nothing about what the movie's about, but at this point, if they haven't seen it, that's on them, not me. So, you know.
Yeah, that's...
In general, what did you think of Enter the Dragon?
It was a lot of fun. You said early on it was very 70s, which it is. Very 70s.
Yeah. It's very
like,
70s.
I've never seen many Kung Fu movies, but this is like, I guess, quintessential.
Oh, yeah.
So it's perfect, yeah. It's like, I liked it a lot, yeah.
Yeah, it's badass. Kind of slow moments, but
yeah,
but it does like overwhelmingly the action.
Oh yeah,
helps take care of a lot of that.
The first half of the movie doesn't have that much action in it, but the action it does have is pretty solid. But there is a lot of, like, again, it's a 70s movie, moves a little slower, really building up like the stakes and the characters and like the character like development and interactions, and then finally like the last like 30 minutes of the movie is 3 long action sequence with like a 1-minute scene in between to set up the next sequence.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And it's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Just when they think they've broken the secret of the island, they find there is no escape from the inscrutable Han. Warner Brothers presents Enter the Dragon.
Right on, guys. So, what did you just absolutely fucking love out of Enter the Dragon?
I loved the fight scenes as a whole, but specifically the mirror scene.
Yeah, the scene that's been ripped off 100, maybe 1,000 times.
No, it's
in both great and awful movies, but
Oh, yeah.
this movie, I think, arguably does it probably the best.
Yeah. Oh, it's so good. It's like, it's hard to watch almost. You can't really exactly tell what's happening, where they are, and it's I don't know, so good. So well put together.
It is a super disorienting scene while you're watching it. And a lot of that, number one, I think we mentioned while we were watching it, that the fact that the camera is never visible in any of the mirrors is really impressive when you're dealing with that many mirrors. And the fact that they use the way that, like, the focus on the camera works, so that basically, like, you can see an area that looks like it's a flat space, but then as one of the characters enters that and they rack focus to that character, then all of a sudden the place they came from becomes visible and you realize it was there all the time.
Yeah.
So it really puts you in the headspace of Bruce Lee in that scene.
Yeah.
So it makes, like, even though the fight that actually happens once you're in the mirrors isn't all that elaborate, and, like, really it would almost feel anticlimactic, but almost like he says in the beginning of the movie, it's more about, like, the emotional truth of the scene. And the fact that we feel what he feels really makes it work.
Yeah. Dope.
And as for you, sir?
I mean, the combat, like, no question, so amazing. But I never realized, because I feel like I've seen Bruce Lee not a whole lot, but enough to really never notice how much of he's like, I'm the most baddest motherfucker in this scene right now.
Oh, yeah.
You know, just like 10 actor-wise.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
And is.
Crazy.
He's just chewing up the scenery.
Yeah.
Like, his dialogue, he really, like, pushes every word. Almost like the way that Mark Hamill, like, performs villains. Where just, like, every word goes on for days. And you just get this, like, intensity out of it. He's just, and like you mentioned while we were watching the movie, there's the scene where, like, he's getting ready to have a fight, and he pulls up his sleeves, but he ain't got no sleeves
on.
on.
He's just wearing, like, a little thing, a gi, like, shirt.
Yeah, and he's just like,
But it works.
Yeah, it works, because he's a bad pimp motherfucker
Yeah.
who knows exactly how bad he is and knows that he can pull it off.
For sure.
He knows that, like, he can do cute little flips over monks who are making a bridge with their arms, and he'll still be the baddest motherfucker in this movie. And he's wearing a Speedo while he does it.
Right.
And he's not worried about it, because he's a bad motherfucker.
Oh, yeah, no. No fucks given, ever.
No. It's a good one. He's awesome.
Muscle flex. Gotta flex the muscle.
That's my favorite thing. That and the cast. The cast of this movie in general.
Okay. Yeah, true.
Like you were saying, Bruce Lee brings the and like just like some great fight choreography. We already talked about the fights, but the cast is fantastic, especially because a lot of this cast aren't really primarily actors, or aren't really actors that are, like, even at the time weren't big names, but they were guys that either Bruce Lee knew or guys who were, like, up and coming in the martial arts scene. And then you do have, like, some really strong actors in the movie, like, you know, John Saxton, despite being a real martial artist, is a badass actor. Like, he's a really good actor. And, you know, obviously Bruce Lee just, like, kicks butt. But even, like, what's her name? I know I just said her name, but the blonde chick.
Anna Capri. Anna Capri.
Yeah, Anna Capri. She's fantastic too, like all the way across the board, even though they're not names or faces that you might automatically recognize. Like, they all put in really good performances for the kind of movie it is.
Yeah.
Like, even Jim Kelly, who might be one of the weaker actors in the movie, like, he just has so much charisma and so much, like, yeah, baby, that, like, it doesn't even fucking matter. He just pulls it all off, you know? Just like, man, you come straight out of a comic book.
Mr. Han, suddenly I like to leave your island. It is not possible. Bullshit, Mr. Handman. Man, you come right out of a comic book.
Oh my gosh.
Like, it's so badass.
It is.
So yeah, the cast in this movie is absolutely brilliant, and of course Home Dude plays Han. Like, I love that because he's kind of this, like, he doesn't seem imposing, but then when you do see him fight, like, you see how vicious he is, and, like, even though, like, clearly something screwed him up more than just his hand because of the way he moves and stuff, you get the impression that before what happened to him, he was probably a really amazing martial artist.
Yeah.
And now he's at, like, 25%, but that 25% is better than most people's 100.
Yeah.
And that actor,
he kicks ass.
yeah, he kicks ass, and that actor sells it with a very minimal amount of, like, fight scenes and a limited amount of, like, movement. It's mostly just how he carries himself.
Yeah.
So yeah, as cool as, like, the fights in this movie are, and the score, and, like, all the awesome things, I feel if it wasn't for the cast they have, like, really getting you to like the characters and go along with them and getting all the surprises to work the way they're supposed to, I really don't think the movie would hold up as well as it does.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
You must attend the morning ritual in uniform.
Outside.
Alright, guys, so, what did you hate out of Enter the Dragon?
Well, it's hard to pick anything to hate out of it. It was so fun, but like I guess I hated they killed Williams.
That's fair.
Made me real sad.
They fucking...
Just walk in and like
he's just
butt fuck
hanging
you.
like meat.
Yeah, it's so
They
sad.
got my boy hanging.
From a distance, you're like, that's a guy, and then you see that fro, and it's like, oh.
Yeah, well, I don't
my
know.
dude.
Actually, I don't know how it took you so long to catch the flow.
Right, yeah, I
but,
just saw it, like, I was looking at his chain.
Yeah, because he's all
like,
bloody and stuff, and he's not
Yeah.
wearing the outfit we saw him in, but still, yeah, like, he's the only dude with a big-ass fro in the movie, and they just got him hanging there, and, like, John Saxton's reaction to it is so... brilliantly good.
They did
because
Helen or
I'm
something.
in shit.
yeah.
Yeah.
And also you can see him wanting to lash out, but like knowing how deep he's in and just can't do anything.
Yeah.
And they built up that friendship so well. Like those two guys played off of each other so good that it really endeared you to both of them.
Yeah.
That like, yeah, it's fucked. It's fucked. But it also, again, like they're talking about, like it gives emotional weight and purity to the ending of the movie where, like, not only have we heard how bad Han is, we've felt how bad Han is through the victims of him. You know, maybe not the people he killed directly, but the people who love the people he's killed.
Right.
So it, other than just Bruce Lee's revenge, like it validates all of Bruce Lee's character's feelings for us. So necessary and makes the movie work, but yeah, it's fucked.
Ugh.
Also racist.
Boom.
Right? The only brother in the movie, and they fucking kill him and hang him?
Yeah, it's
from,
hard.
Like, they lynched him. A bunch of little... I told you, when we first see Han's compound, I said, it's the Asian KKK.
Oh my god.
And they lynched the only black dude in the movie.
God. And then tossed him in the water.
Fuck. And even
Never
Han's
to be
kind of
seen
dressed
again.
like a little Nazi dude.
Oh my god.
Damn.
The dude betting in the back was probably the mastermind behind
They even got a guy with the little Hitler stash
Oh
and
my
little
god.
glasses, man.
The pieces fall into
We
place.
just-
Conspiracy.
We're putting it all together.
God.
And that's for you, sir.
Okay, so I don't know if this is just because it was shot in the 70s. You could probably tell me more about this. But like the voiceover sometimes.
Oh,
The voice,
you mean
like-
the voiceover or like the
like-
sync?
Yeah, the sync. It
Yeah.
felt like, is it like, are they saying the words, but they're saying them closer up, like in a mic, and then they play it over them already saying the words, or does he have a mic on him, and because he has a mic on him, and it feels like it's right in our ear, but they're far away?
Oh no.
It's the
it's
sound level feels like
it's that they had to
wrong?
record it later on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
like, because back then those kind of like the little clip-on mics,
Yeah.
like they didn't even really have those. Like, I'm sure that where they're shooting, probably it had to do with the sound quality on the set,
The
like
wind.
the
Yeah.
wind, or even like if they're filming on a real island, then you have planes and like boats,
Yeah.
big boats with loud whistles and stuff like that going
Oh
by.
yeah, the boat scene was easily probably so loud they couldn't
Yeah.
hear anything.
So there's a lot of ADRing in the movie, and yeah, some of it's not as good. Also, there's a lot of the not a lot, but a few of the Asian actors definitely have their voices dubbed over.
Yeah.
And at the time, also, just like dubbing things in English wasn't really the art form that it is today. You know, it was
Yeah.
more just like, well, our accountant is free this afternoon, so let's bring him in. And that's not what they did on this movie. But what I'm saying is, like, a lot of times it was just accepted that people weren't going to believe that was the person's voice, so it
like-
wasn't attempted to really match it up.
right.
Really, and with a movie like this, they're like, well, if that's gonna throw people off, like, as opposed to being there for awesome ass kicking, then they're in the wrong movie anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
You know.
right.
So, but that is a valid complaint that, like, by today's standards,
Yeah.
like,
I mean, I had no, like, wasn't hating on it for it, but, like, it definitely, like, sometimes it was jarring.
Yeah.
that's a valid complaint, and it very much is, like, a product of the time that the movie's made. And the fact that, like, really before this movie, like, martial arts movies were a thing, but they weren't a thing like they were after Enter the Dragon.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Valid complaint, though.
I feel like it made it kind of quirky.
Yeah, it enhances the 70s feel of
Yeah,
it.
that's
'Cause
what I enjoyed about it.
if nothing else, this movie is a fucking time capsule of 1970, like, through 73 when the movie came out, and actually a little bit further, because I would say that, like, this becoming such a popular movie set a lot of the trends and, like, norms for certain pockets of the subculture at the time.
Yeah.
So yeah, the movie's highly influential, and, like, it's definitely a time capsule, and all those little like imperfections that are inherent to filmmaking in the 70s make it really just feel extremely evocative and indicative of the time. As for me, my least favorite thing is the poster art, the original poster art for the movie, which is on this like
really?
collector's edition DVD. I'll just cut a picture in so everyone can see it. Like, wow, the likenesses on the characters are very poor.
Oh, wow.
Like, it looks like one of those shitty movies that just cast another actor and called him Bruce Lee, spelled slightly different. But, like, Jim Kelly probably looks the most like he does in the movie and in real life. Han looks like fucking Dracula down there. She looks like Nefertiti or, like, the bride of the
Daenerys Targaryen.
Frankenstein or some shit like that, you know? It's really not great poster art. And,
Yeah, you're right.
yeah,
It's not
like,
good.
that, and you know what? I really love this movie, and it does have lots of flaws, but like we said in the last couple of things, like, the flaws that the movie does have just gives it this, like, tone and vibe and feel that is, like, so pure in a way of, like, this era of film and that kind of, like, kung fu exploitation cinema
Yeah.
that I love so much. So it's really hard for me to pick one of those things, but it's real easy to notice that that doesn't look like fucking Bruce Lee, not even a little bit.
Yeah.
This poster was painted by someone who's like, it's an Asian guy, right?
Oh my god.
How racist is this poster? You see, that's the third time. It's a running gag. You have to do it 3 times. It's the rule of comedy. In threes. Right on, guys. So I think it goes without saying once again that we all enjoyed this movie, despite it having the Asian KKK and, you know, having some slight flaws throughout, and it being a movie that's very much of the 70s. But it's also really awesome. We enjoyed it. I would highly recommend it. What about you guys?
I'd recommend it too. It's a lot of fun. A lot of
Yeah.
action.
Oh, yeah. Good kung fu, action-packed movie.
Hell
It's
yeah.
Really charming.
Yeah, there's a
is.
slight bit of brief nudity in the movie, which has a lot to do with the R rating. The rest of it is for violence, but a lot of that is rated R by the period that it came out, like the standards of that time. So by today's standards, there's none of the violence in this movie that you couldn't show on television at this
Yeah, no.
point.
No.
And you could show way worse.
I had to ask if he killed the guy.
Yeah,
So,
there's
there you
like...
go.
Yeah, they cut away from a lot of on-screen deaths and stuff like that. So yeah, I highly recommend it, and as long as you watch out for, like, I think it's about 2.5 seconds with a slight bit of nudity, then it's pretty watchable for pretty much anyone. Like, obviously don't put, like, your 5-year-old kid in front of it, probably, you know,
Right,
but even then, like, Power Rangers nowadays probably has more violent shit than this on it. I don't know. I haven't watched it recently. But yeah, we recommend it.
Kick me. Kick me. What was that? An exhibition? We need emotional content. Try again. I said emotional content, not anger. Now try again. With me. That's it. How did it feel to you?
Let me think.
Don't think. Feel. It is like a finger pointing away to the moon. Don't concentrate on the finger or you will miss all that heavenly glory. Do you understand? Never take your eyes off your opponent, even when you bow.
Right on, children of the screen. Thank you for joining us for another edition of What You Mean You Ain't Seen, Enter the Dragon.
Good night, guys.
Later.
And if you guys like this video, please leave a like and share it with some friends. Also, if you're not subscribed, please hit that little bell so that you can get updates on all the dope content we'll have coming out in the future. Furthermore, guys, if you'd like to follow us on Instagram or Twitter, I'll have the link for that in the descriptions below. Thank you very much once again, children of the screen. Hope you all have a good one. Nerd Scum, motherfucking out! What?